The content provided in the CoTrackPro podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be construed as legal, medical, or psychological advice. CoTrackPro does not provide legal representation or therapy, and the information shared is not a substitute for professional guidance tailored to your specific situation. Any views or opinions expressed by guests or hosts are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of CoTrackPro or its affiliates. While we strive to keep the information accurate and up to date, laws and policies may change, and CoTrackPro assumes no responsibility for errors, omissions, or outcomes resulting from the use of this content. By listening to this podcast, you agree that CoTrackPro, its team, and any affiliated individuals are not liable for any decisions made or actions taken based on the information provided. If you are facing legal, mental health, or family-related issues, please consult with a licensed professional in your area.
Okay, let's unpack this. We all spend time in the online world, right? Every single day.
It's just part of life now. Yeah. Connecting, working.
Exactly. It's where we connect, work, share ideas. But, what happens when that space, which is really designed for connection, turns hostile?
Yeah, when it feels less like talking and more like being attacked.
That's it. When interaction feels less like engaging and more like being targeted.
It's a reality that's becoming increasingly common for adults, unfortunately.
Right. So for this deep dive, we're tackling something serious, but honestly, incredibly important: adult cyberbullying.
Yeah, it's crucial stuff.
We're going to pull apart what it actually is, the significant impact it can have on your life, the signs to watch out for.
And critically, what you can do about it, both immediately and longer-term strategies.
Yes, exactly. Immediate actions and building resilience. And to really ground this, we'll use the sources you provided to look at the legal side.
Right, specifically using Missouri law as an example, how they handle things like unlawful posting, stalking, harassment. It shows how these online actions can, cross into criminal territory.
So our sources for this are a guide on adult cyberbullying definitions, coping strategies, that sort of thing, and then summaries of those Missouri laws.
A good mix of the personal and the legal.
Our mission: cut through the noise, pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge from this stack. We want you to feel informed, prepared,
armed with actionable insights. And yeah, we did find a few surprising things in there too.
Definitely. Okay, so let's start with the basics. What is adult cyberbullying? What are we actually talking about here?
Well, the material you shared is pretty clear. It's unwanted, it's aggressive, and importantly, it's repeated behavior. Online, targeting an adult.
That repetition part seems key. It's not just one mean comment, it's a pattern.
Exactly. And the sources list some pretty common forms this takes. You got direct harassment and threats.
Just outright aggressive messages.
Yeah. And also incredibly damaging things like impersonation, someone pretending to be you online, or doxing.
Right. Sharing private info like your address.
Yeah.
That can put someone in real danger.
Absolutely. Other forms mentioned are things like spam or coordinated targeting, where maybe multiple people pile on.
That must feel overwhelming.
It does. And public shaming or, hate campaigns, often spreading fast on social media.
Wow. Okay. That covers a wide, pretty ugly range. And one thing the source points out that's specific to adults is how this often legally overlaps with cyberstalking.
That's a really important distinction. For younger people, it might just get called bullying. But for adults, because of the severity, the repetition, and often the intent to cause fear or distress,
it fits those legal boxes for stalking.
Yeah, it frequently fits within legal definitions designed for stalking behavior. And understanding that is crucial for knowing what legal options might be available.
Okay, so we know what it is. Let's talk impacts. Because the sources really emphasize this isn't just, digital noise. It has serious real-world effects.
Oh, absolutely. The psychological effects are significant. The material points to anxiety, depression, high stress, problems sleeping.
Things that really disrupt your life.
Totally. And even, tragically, self-harm ideation. And what's particularly alarming, as the source says, is how these risks get worse with that repeated exposure we talked about.
Yeah, you can see why your sense of safety, online and offline, must just feel completely gone.
Exactly. There's a huge emotional toll. It damages self-esteem, that basic feeling of security.
And the online aspect adds layers, doesn't it?
It does. The sources stress how anonymity, even if it's not total, can empower the bully. And the 247 nature of it all, there's no escape. The harassment can follow you everywhere, constantly.
That constant pressure. Wow. So how do you even start to recognize the signs if this is happening to you? What are the practical things the sources mention?
They give a pretty good list. You might start getting hostile or threatening messages, directly.
Okay.
Or you could see false rumors, lies being spread about you online. Or maybe find out someone is impersonating you somewhere.
And it starts to affect how you feel about going online, right? Like that dread before checking notifications.
Yes, exactly. Paying attention to that feeling is important. It can also start causing disruptions at work or affecting your social life as the online stuff kind of spills over.
Makes sense.
Fundamentally, if you're feeling persistent fear or distress because of what someone is doing online, that's a major sign.
Okay. So you recognize it's happening. Now what? The sources give some really critical immediate steps. The first one they hammer home is vital. Document everything.
Yes. Non-negotiable. You need to save screenshots, grab the URLs, record dates and times, metadata if you can get it. Keep logs of all the communication.
Build that evidence file.
Absolutely. This documentation is your proof, whether you end up using it for reporting to the platform, getting support, or, maybe taking legal action down the line.
Get it all. Keep it safe. Okay, what else?
Engage your support systems.
Right.
Talk to friends you trust, family. If it's related to work, maybe HR is the place to go.
Don't go through it alone.
Right. And if you think it might be crossing legal lines, talking to a legal advisor early on can be really helpful.
And what about the tools the platforms themselves offer?
Definitely use them. Block the person harassing you. Mute their account so you don't see it. Restrict who can see your posts or message you. Go through your privacy settings and tighten them up.
Use everything available.
Use every tool you have to limit their access to you.
Okay. And if the behavior keeps going or gets worse?
Report it. Usually the first step is reporting the specific content or the user directly to the platform. Social media, email providers, forums, they all have reporting tools.
Right.
But here's a key point from the sources.
Yeah.
If it involves credible threats or stalking that makes you genuinely fear for your safety or other obvious criminal stuff,
Then it's more serious.
then you need to contact law enforcement. That's when it potentially crosses into criminal conduct, and just reporting to the platform might not be enough.
Okay, those are vital, immediate actions. But it's not just about reacting, right? It's also about building resilience for the long haul.
Right. The sources shift here to more proactive strategies.
Yeah.
Building resilience and making self-care a priority is key.
Makes sense. What does that look like?
Things like stress management techniques, mindfulness, maybe taking intentional breaks from devices, digital detox periods, and seeking therapy or counseling if you need it. It's about protecting your mental health.
Which is so important and definitely not a sign of weakness.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And another angle is empowerment through digital literacy.
Meaning?
Like, learn how to spot these behaviors, understand how to report them effectively, figure out strategies for handling harassment if it happens. The sources also suggest advocating for better policies, maybe at work or in your community.
Okay. And then there's leveraging legal recourse. We'll get into the Missouri specifics soon, but the sources mention that, almost half of U.S. states have laws covering adults?
Yeah, anti-cyberbullying or cyber stalking laws that apply to adults. And depending on how bad it is, there can be grounds for criminal charges or even civil lawsuits, like for harassment, defamation, emotional distress.
So there are options.
There are. And the sources also mention awareness campaigns and support groups like the CyberSmile Foundation, which offer help globally.
Good to know those resources exist. Beyond that, the sources list some, general preventative measures for digital well-being, stuff that feels like good advice for everyone online today.
Yeah, basic digital hygiene is foundational. Strong, unique passwords, two-factor authentication wherever you can use it, keeping your software updated.
The basics, but important.
Crucial. And being mindful of what info you're putting out there.
Right, like location sharing, photos.
Exactly. Be discreet with geotagging, audio, video. Limit the personal info you make public. Strategic blocking and reporting. Don't wait. Act swiftly. Escalate if someone keeps at it.
And setting boundaries.
Yeah, clear digital boundaries, like setting specific offline times or maybe device-free zones in your house. Intentionally scheduling digital detoxes helps manage exposure and honestly, just keep your sanity.
It's interesting. The sources also briefly touch on the other side, someone who might be doing the cyberbullying, noting that adults doing this often have their own issues, right? Like anger, loneliness.
Yeah, underlying stuff like past trauma, boredom even. That part encourages self-reflection, maybe seeking help like therapy or anger management, finding healthier ways to cope or connect.
It's a reminder it's complex.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And often stems from deeper personal struggles.
And finally, they mention some emerging things, like AI.
Yeah, the potential for AI tools to help platforms maybe detect and assess how severe harassment is based on language patterns, things like that.
Interesting.
And also platform design trends focusing more on privacy from the start and implementing better, faster moderation to stop harassment before it escalates. Technology might be part of the problem and the solution.
That gives us a really solid overview of the human side, what it is, the effects, how to respond. But now let's take that deeper dive into the legal framework, using those specific Missouri laws you shared as examples.
Right. And this is where we see how seriously the legal system can view these online behaviors, especially when they get repetitive and really harmful. Now remember, these are Missouri statutes, but they illustrate the types of legal ideas.
Like different levels of penalties.
Exactly. Tiered penalties based on intent, severity, or maybe who the victim is, principles you see in many places. So let's look at how Missouri handles unlawful posting, stalking, and harassment.
Okay, starting with unlawful posting of identifying information. Section 565.240. This sounds like it relates to doxing.
Yes, very much so. This law makes it a crime to knowingly post someone's personal identifying info, online name, address, social security number, that kind of thing, with the intent to cause great bodily harm or death, or to threaten that kind of harm.
So it's not just posting a name, it's the sensitive info plus that malicious intent.
That harmful intent is key.
How does Missouri classify this? What are the penalties?
Well, Missouri uses a tiered system misdemeanors up to felonies, with different levels of jail time and fines. Basic unlawful posting starts at the lower end as a Class C misdemeanor. And what does that mean, roughly?
Could be up to 15 days in jail and a fine up to $750.
Okay, that's the starting point. But it sounds like it can get more serious.
Oh, absolutely. And one surprising thing here is how quickly it can escalate. If the target is a special victim, think law enforcement, judges, prosecutors, or their immediate family.
People who might be targeted because of their job.
Right. If they're targeted, it jumps significantly to a Class C felony, which in Missouri could mean up to 4 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. The law specifically protects those folks.
Wow. And what if the doxing actually leads to someone getting hurt?
If the act of posting that info results in someone being physically harmed or killed, it goes up again to a Class C felony.
And that carries.
Up to 7 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. This is for when that online action has truly devastating real-world consequences.
Okay, so a single act of posting info online could range from a minor charge to a serious felony with years in prison, depending entirely on who the victim is and what happens next. Precisely. It really shows how the law looks at both the intent and the impact. And these penalty ranges, they're generally set out in other Missouri laws, like sections 558.002 and 558.01, which the sources mentioned.
Got it. Okay, next up, Missouri stalking offenses. Sections 565.225 and 565.227. The sources mention some key definitions here.
Yes, section 565.002 defines some crucial terms. Course of conduct basically means 2 or more acts over time that show a continuing purpose.
So a pattern.
A pattern.
Right.
And importantly, it explicitly excludes constitutionally protected activity, like lawful protests. So this targets repeated, unwanted harassment, not legitimate free speech.
Makes sense. It has to be a pattern of harmful behavior.
And what about emotional distress? That sounds important.
Very. It's defined as something markedly greater than the level of uneasiness, nervousness, or unhappiness that is commonly experienced in day-to-day life.
Okay, so not just being annoyed, it has to be serious.
Exactly. So it's a pretty high bar. The distress cause has to be significant, something a reasonable person would also feel in that situation. Right. Substantial harm to your peace of mind to legally count as stalking. So what's the difference between second-degree stalking, that's section 565.227, and first-degree, section 565.225?
Second degree is the basic offense. It involves purposely doing that course of conduct, disturbing or following someone with the intent to disturb them, causing a reasonable person to feel frightened, intimidated, or emotionally distressed, using that markedly greater definition.
Okay, so repeated online harassment, that would reasonably make someone feel really scared or severely distressed.
Right. And as a first offense, it's usually a Class A misdemeanor that can mean up to a year in jail and a $2,000 fine.
But like the posting law, this can be elevated too.
It can. If the person has a previous stalking conviction or if they intentionally target someone because they're law enforcement or a related official, it gets bumped up to a Class E felony.
So up to 4 years in prison again.
Sure.
And first-degree stalking, that takes it up another notch from the start.
Yes. First degree involves the same kind of harassing course of conduct plus one or more specific aggravating factors.
Like what? What kind of factors?
The sources list examples like making a credible threat that actually causes the victim to fear for their safety, violating a protection order while stalking a minor when the offender is much older, having a prior domestic assault conviction against that same victim, or targeting someone in an address confidentiality program.
Okay, so second degree is the pattern causing distress, and first degree adds these elements that make it clearly more dangerous or target more vulnerable people.
Exactly. And because of that, first-degree stalking is classified as a Class E felony, even for a first offense up to 4 years prison, $10K fine.
And it can get even worse.
It can become a Class D felony that's up to 7 years if the offender has a prior stalking conviction or if the victim falls into one of those special categories, like law enforcement.
So another really clear example of a tiered system. The law gets much tougher for high-risk actions, repeat offenders, or targeting specific groups. And it all hinges on that emotional distress being markedly greater than everyday upset.
Right. The legal system needs proof of a significant, measurable psychological impact to prosecute stalking under these laws.
Okay. Finally, let's look at Missouri's harassment offenses. Sections 565.090 and 565.091. Does that same emotional distress definition apply here, too?
Yes, the exact same definition from Section 565.002, markedly greater than ordinary unhappiness, applies to these harassment laws as well.
Got it. So how does second-degree harassment, Section 565.091, work?
Second-degree harassment is about acting, without a good reason, with the purpose to cause emotional distress to someone else. It's really focused on the intent to cause distress.
Even if it doesn't actually cause severe harm.
Right. Even if it doesn't necessarily succeed in causing that markedly greater level of distress. This is typically a Class A misdemeanor up to 1 year jail, $2,000 fine.
So the key there is the harmful intent.
Precisely. But again, repeat behavior matters. If someone has any prior harassment offense or certain similar convictions, a new second-degree charge gets elevated to a Class E felony.
Potentially up to 4 years in prison. The law really takes repeat harassers seriously.
It does.
Okay, so what about first-degree harassment? Section 565.090. Is this where the actual severe emotional distress comes in?
It is. First degree happens when someone harasses another with the intent to cause emotional distress, and their actions actually succeed in causing substantial emotional distress, meaning that markedly greater definition.
Ah, okay. So both intent and proven impact.
Exactly. And because it requires that proven severe impact, it's classified as a Class E felony right from the start, even for a first offense. There's no lower misdemeanor option for first degree.
So the difference between first and second degree harassment in Missouri really boils down to intent versus actual severe impact.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. Second degree is the intent to cause distress. First degree requires both the intent and the successful infliction of that substantial emotional distress. These laws aim to deter conduct meant to cause serious emotional harm, and they escalate based on proven impact and prior history.
So looking at these specific Missouri laws gives us a really clear picture, an example of how one state defines and penalizes harmful online behavior. It shows that repetition, intent, and the actual impact are key factors in how the legal system might respond, using that tiered scale of offenses.
It really complements the personal strategies we discussed earlier. It shows that, yes, there are legal avenues when online harassment crosses certain lines into criminal behavior.
Okay, bringing this all together, the final thoughts in the source material really hit home after this deep dive.
Yeah, they remind us that adult cyberbullying is serious, it has significant impacts, just like for younger people.
Yeah.
And proactively protecting yourself with, clear digital boundaries and good support systems is vital.
And that response needs to be decisive, right? Collect the evidence, document everything.
Report the behavior to platforms, maybe law
And
enforcement.
explore legal options if it gets to that point.
And crucially, prioritizing your own healing and empowering yourself through self-care, finding community support that's essential for moving forward.
And finally, that idea that contributing to broader change, maybe by raising awareness or pushing for better digital environments, that's part of the solution too. Understanding both the personal toll and the legal options feels incredibly valuable here.
Absolutely, gives you a fuller picture.
Thinking about all this, especially how fast online interactions change and how legal terms like emotional distress or course of conduct get applied to these new digital situations, here's something for you, our listener, to think about. How might our understanding and maybe the legal definitions themselves of what counts as harmful online behavior continue to change? And, thinking about the platforms, What role do you think the big tech companies should play in preventing this versus our own individual responsibility for how we act online and protect ourselves?
That's a big question. Definitely a complex, evolving challenge. Something worth mulling over after this deep dive.
Thanks for listening to the CoTrackPro podcast, where families come first and technology bridges the gap. If today's episode helped you better understand how to navigate co-parenting, protect your rights, or support your child's well-being, we invite you to explore our full suite of tools at CoTrackPro.com. Subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with someone who needs it. You're not alone, and with CoTrackPro, you're backed by purpose-built apps that help families make better decisions, stay safe, and move forward. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other.